Okay,
Oh, you know, that's dangerous move. The first meeting of the year.
it is what it is. That's what she said.
Well, if she had if Jonathan had the elections on the agenda, we could appoint her chair. Oh, you know, that's dangerous move. The first meeting of the year. Somebody's gotta.
Oh no, it was when I go to the YouTube stream was going kind of slow, so I had to shut it out. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So we got Robin and me. Okay. Is Alan or Lowell here?
I've been here all along.
Yes. Thank you, Alan. And there's Lowell.
I'm here too.
Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and call the Central Board of Architectural Review, January 13th, 2023 hearing to order. Jonathan, you want, let me, I can share my screen.
absolutely, 1 second. There you go.
Okay. I want this one. Okay. This is a revised agenda because,
Oh,
it's mine's all screwy.
would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and share the agenda while I get this sorted out, and then we'll come back to mine as soon as I've got it. Thanks, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Want to scroll down for me? Okay, whoa. Thank you. Okay, so the first item is an ex-agenda request. Jonathan, you want to go ahead and, do I need to read this or can I kind of summarize?
Summarize probably.
Okay, well, this is a report on the circumstances of January 2023 storm state of emergency. Since we've had this state of emergency declared by the governor, we are able to go ahead and have this meeting completely virtually and not meet in person due to the results of flooding and various other issues. So we're going to hold this meeting completely in the Zoom environment. We will not be meeting in person for this hearing. Do I need to, is there an action we need to take on this, Jonathan?
No action on this item.
Okay, can you scroll for me, please? Well, okay, so public comment. Do we have any member of the public who wishes to address the board regarding an item that is not on today's agenda?
Please raise your hand if you have a public comment for anything that's not on today's agenda.
I'm not seeing anybody. Okay, can we do the agenda status reports?
We have received no request to continue.
Okay, let's take a look at the minutes. I'm pretty sure I can share my screen for that. 1 second.
And while you do that, I'm gonna see if I can track down Lisa.
Oh, Jonathan, I told her she could join at 9:15.
Correct.
Okay.
Because I figured that's about when she'd be up on the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Here's the draft minutes. Everybody can see this, I hope. Okay, I'm going to go through, and I had a couple of comments, as the board is well aware, but members of the public and other attendees may not be. The content of the minutes For example, the comments, CBAR comments have already been reviewed by the BAR at the end of the last hearing. However, I do have a few house cleaning items for Jonathan. You'll notice here that for the minutes of December 9th, it says we considered December 9th minutes and that we made a motion to approve them. I think that should be the November minutes.
Yes, absolutely.
And I had an interesting little out-of-body experience apparently, because down here, let's see, which item was it? This one, item number 7. Fluff moved and I seconded my own motion. I don't think that's correct.
No, that's not correct. I'll go back and check who was that second.
So, and I think everything else. Did anybody else have any other board members have any comments on the minutes that doesn't involve wordsmithing the comments? I feel sure somebody's talking and we can't hear you. Okay, I'm not hearing anything else. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
That was Robin or Alan?
Robin did it.
Okay,
Okay.
I will second. Any further discussion?
I'll abstain.
Lowell is abstaining because he wasn't here.
I'll abstain as well. It's Denise.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that was all 4 of us who are here. And then there's 2 abstentions, correct?
Yes. 2 abstentions.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, you want to share your screen real quick so we can go back to the agenda?
Yes, one second, we'll do that.
I've got to get mine working, so. Okay, CBAR informational briefings. I do have something, and then if anybody else has something, you can raise your hand or you can shout out as soon as I finish here. I attended, we will be having Lisa Plowman here to, during staff update, to talk about the housing amendment that was at the Planning Commission this week. And I believe it's going to the Board of Supervisors maybe next week. She can speak to the dates. However, I wanted to state that I did attend the hearing and it was very informative. So I'll let her talk about that. Do we have anybody else who needs to say anything during the briefings? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. So let's go ahead and go to member recusals. Do we have any member recusals? All right, staff update. Nicole, you want to start, and then when we get Lisa, she can jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the projection report, most of the upcoming items are outside of the CBAR area, but coming up on February 15th, 2023 at the Montecito Planning Commission, and then following that on February 22nd at the County Planning Commission is the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Annual Progress Report, where they'll go over what the Long Range Planning Division is working on. So you may have some interest in that.
What's the date on that again?
Well, it's going to the Montecito PC on February 15th,
Okay,
and then it's going to the county PC on February 22nd.
okay. I didn't mean to
And-
do it.
And then on, and then similarly, long-range planning on March 15th is bringing a safety element update on wildfire policies to the Montecito Planning Commission, and then they're bringing that same item to the County Planning Commission on April 5th. So those are those would, I think, be all the items that may be of potential interest to your board that are coming up.
Okay. Has Lisa joined us yet? Do we
I
know?
have.
Hey, I'm glad
Hi.
you're because we
Hi.
were running early, which is like a minor miracle.
So are we all remote? My camera's not working. It says the host has to start it, but
We don't usually use the camera,
okay.
so you're
Okay.
safe.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about the housing update?
Sure.
Okay.
So we are in the process, of course, of working on the housing element, and we expect to be releasing that document this later in this month, in January, for a public review, which is a 30-day review period. As you probably have read in the paper, we are missing our state mandated deadline, like many jurisdictions across California, because of the complexity of the process that has been developed for this cycle and the new laws that have been passed. Because of that, and also because of laws that have been passed in the last 2-3 years, like SB 35, which allows ministerial approvals when we don't comply or build enough very low and low income housing. And then, of course, AB 2162, which you're probably familiar with because you looked at a project on a conceptual basis for that. Those are all ministerial projects as mandated by the state. So because of that, those new laws, and because we're going to be out of compliance for our housing element, we could be exposed to projects that would go through and only be subjected to objective design standards. So that means we would have no discretion, like we can't deny those projects based on anything but failure to comply with objective design standards. So that caused us to take an action which is unusual and wouldn't normally be the course of action that we would take, but that was to develop some objective design standards over the last month so that we could get something in place as quickly as possible. And normally we would be working with our BARs and whatnot, but because of the urgency, we were unable to take that step. What the staff did with my assistance was we looked at other agencies' objective design standards that had been developed by planning and design firms and that had helped them craft something that was, I think, a lot of really good standards. And so we ended up using the city of Galitas as a model. The company RRM Design Group had helped them draft those. So we reviewed those and we crafted them to be more consistent with the county and the county's objectives. We left some out because some of them were more urban related, things that we don't typically see that a city might see. And in the end, I think they are actually pretty good, but they are a work in progress is what I would say. I didn't want anyone to think that this is the first and last time that we'll be talking to you about them. These are things that are a living document that we'll be modifying over time. And in this case, because we were moving so quickly, we were only able to craft a revision to the land use development code for the inland area. So Montecito and land use development code and the coastal zoning ordinance do not have these standards in them. We will be coming back to add them at a later date. And then we'll be looking at the standards that we think are working or maybe not working, and we can revise them. We do have to develop some for ADUs and for projects that are processed under SB 9, which is the law that was passed last year, or the beginning of, I guess it was passed in 2021, went into effect in 2022. And that allows for a ministerial subdivision of a property and the development of up to 4 units. So we need objective standards for those. So I just, at the request of Bethany, who I had spoken to in advance of the Planning Commission hearing on Wednesday, I wanted to come and just brief you on what we were doing. The Planning Commission did hear the objective standards on Wednesday and recommended approval, forwarding them to the Board of Supervisors, and the board will be hearing those on the 24th of January. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, I don't want to, I appreciate that, and I thank you very much. If somebody has a quick question for Ms. Plowman, somebody from the board, I mean, then let's go ahead and do that. But what I wanted to ask right off the top was, would there be a provision for coordination with the various BARs as you move forward with the coastal and Montecito area, but specifically the coastal area, which is a part of our purview?
Yeah.
Since you now are having somewhat of hopefully an ability to kind of put us back into that process a little bit, and then what would facilitate that? Should we get somebody, one person from the BAR to, each one, or how do you see this going?
It's a good question, and I haven't really mapped that out yet, but I would think we would probably have a rep from each BAR and work in a subcommittee format or something like that. The board may want us, the thing with coastal is no matter what we do, it's going to take a year plus to actually get adopted because it has to get through the Coastal Commission's process.
Sure.
Yeah. So
it just seems like if you're going to be doing that, you're going to be working on it, then it seems like many of the changes you could, if you got the BARs involved now, and as you're working through that year-long process, you could also look at making changes to the inland portion based on what comes out of those.
Right.
Meeting the BARs, and then that way you're not duplicating things. That was my thought. That's all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. Right now, our focus is 100% on getting the housing element completed and submitted to the state.
Yes.
So when we circle back to that, I will make sure that I circle back with you, Bethany, and the BARs, the other chairs, to talk about what a process would look like.
Okay. When do you think we would expect to hear back from you?
It probably won't be for 6 months.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
Well, that gives us kind of a target to kind of think about it, because I think I cannot speak for any of the other BARs, but I can say that I probably am not the best person to do that. And so I would ask one of my members if they wanted to participate in that process. And I think I can think of a couple who may be actually desirous and or willing of doing so. So
sure. That would be great. That would be great.
Board members, anybody have any questions for Ms. Plowman?
I do.
Yeah.
I have a question also after.
Okay, after Lowell.
Hi,
Yes.
Lisa. This is Lowell Lash.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Great. So I have just a quick question. So how would this new, I guess this would be a new housing element that would be applied to projects. So how would this affect, let's say, existing applications, accepted applications, or future applications that came into the county when the housing element seems to be a moving target right now with changes. So would the changes be applied to in either case, new or recently applied? I mean,
Right.
recently
Yeah,
application that's been accepted.
I understand your question. Yeah. So we have two things, the housing element and then the objective design standards. And I should clarify, the objective design standards are for multifamily and mixed use development. That's what those are geared towards.
Yes.
So for the objective design standards, which it will be in place here shortly, any project that is in the process that's multifamily or mixed use that's in the inland area will have to comply with these standards. They will be applied until the project is approved.
Okay.
So if there's projects in the process, then once this is adopted, they will be measured against these objective standards.
And can you share what those design objective standards are to our board?
Yeah, I sent them to Bethany,
Okay.
and we're certainly happy to have, I can have Jonathan send around what we sent to Bethany.
That would be great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Happy to do that. They're also available on our website if somebody wants to get them right away under the Planning Commission hearing.
Mhm. So have those design standards, I may have missed this, but have those design standards been adopted yet, or is there a timeline for adoption?
The Planning Commission heard them on Wednesday, forwarded them to the board. We'll be at the board on the 24th of January.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Ross?
Yes, hi, good morning. Thank you for the update on this. I just am curious because all the jurisdictions have been aware of this for quite some time. And I was involved with creating objective design standards for the city of Santa Barbara, 2 years ago, I think, to respond to this urgency and to put something in place ASAP, which was so objective design standards, because without objective design standards, correct me if I'm wrong, but without them, there is no review. There is no review. You have to have objective design standards in place. Otherwise, they just aren't required to do it per the law. The material has to be in place by the jurisdiction, or otherwise there is nothing.
Right.
So, correct? Is that right?
So we can apply objectives. It doesn't have to be just design, but we can apply objective standards. And so that is correct. What we have been applying is all of the standards that are objective that are in our code already, height, setback, open space, landscaping, parking.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, that's the zoning, which they have to meet that, but this is for design, right? Objective design standards. So these are objectivity relative to the aesthetics of the design. So this
Correct.
is how the aesthetics get addressed. And
Correct.
Our purpose, as at least the way I understand my role here, is to represent the requirements. This is the community voice, essentially, to give input about the aesthetics. All of the zoning, setbacks, height, that's all set by the zoning.
Correct.
They have to meet all that, but as far as the aesthetics, there would be no input about that unless we get objective design standards that can have like a checklist that can be ministerially addressed at the counter, so to speak.
Right.
And if they meet whatever those are. Anyway, it's a big challenge to put together these standards. So I'm just kind of curious. I know that there are staffing issues and all kinds of things, but why I'm just surprised that we haven't started this long ago. And I do remember that it was brought up. I think members of AIA were suggesting that we need to get on this. So I'm just kind of curious. And also, of course, we as the design review board would certainly want to have input to this process. So how can we sort of make up for lost time, so to speak?
So the reason we weren't working on it is because our work program was chock full of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't have the resources to do it. So I can tell you this document was prepared by a deputy director and an assistant director and myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we cribbed it from the city of Goleta, who had gone through a process and had been prepared by a consulting firm, and we modified it based on what we thought was suitable for the county. But as I said to Bethany, as we move forward, we'll have more ability to engage the bars, and because we have so many. And there's going to be a desire to move it through. We'll probably, I'm thinking in my mind right now, some kind of subcommittee that has representatives from each bar.
Right. Yes, that's what the city did.
Yeah.
We're currently working on more objective design standards because the city of Santa Barbara created that first set a couple of years ago just to be sure we're covered.
Yeah.
And that was created on the Spanish colonial revival style of architecture, right, because that's the most prominent and most agreed upon style. But it was recognized right away that as soon as we got that in place, we definitely needed to have expanded objective design standards to include more styles than just Spanish, because obviously we have cottage, craftsman, many other styles in the city that are really important. So we are now currently working on that.
Yes.
Making really good strides.
Yep.
I think.
I know. I've been informed about it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for your efforts. And, we are, volunteering our time to be effective and to help with this. So please include us. Thank you.
Will do. Will do.
Anybody else have any questions or quick comments for Ms. Plowman? Doesn't look like it. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming and talking to us. I really appreciate it. I knew it was going to be beyond my abilities to recapture. So
no problem. No problem.
And we look forward to hearing from you about the coordination, because the really big thing about Cass's point was, which I wholly endorse and I know you support as well, is we need to circle those wagons back around as quickly as possible. And that's why I was suggesting maybe we can incorporate something as you move forward with the coastal, because we could also, in tandem, you could do some things for, amending these once they're approved.
Right.
I realize they haven't gone to the Board of Supervisors yet. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and stay dry.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Take care.
Perfect. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to, Jonathan, I'm going to grab your screen again. I'm going to go to item number 122 bar 107 Kiani Tasting Room. And I think we have somebody here for that. So let me just see if I've got the right one. Nope, that's the wrong one. A second. Let me just get all these up. You got to learn how to redo this again, after you go through all your Zoom skills get rusty. Let's see. Hold on a second here. What's that called? 22. Okay. It is this one. Okay. 2 shakes. Let me, and again, thank you for your patience here, folks. There we go. let's stop that, and we're gonna do this one. There we go. Okay.
Cool.
I think this is the right one. Brett?
Yes. Hey, Bethany. Hi, CBAR members. We were before you in July on this project. This is a little retail complex downtown Los Olivos, directly west of the Grange building on Alamo Pintado Avenue.
And I can read the comments from that hearing if you want.
Okay, great. And then Edward is here to present the project.
Okay. The CBAR comments from the last time were: the thoughtfulness of the remodel is appreciated. Concerned about lighting emission due to the quantity of glazing. Please provide plans with elevations at a larger scale and differentiate between new and proposed elements on the plan. So it was a conceptual review, no action taken, project to return for preliminary. And I think that you are here for, well, it says further conceptual.
Yeah, we've actually, I think Ben is on, but
Okay.
our planner, we did make some changes and added some square footage.
Okay. So we're gonna pick up with the conceptual. That's fine.
Yeah.
Ben, did you need to say anything?
Hey, Bethany, thanks for calling out on me. I am good for now. I might have something to say later on, though. We will
Okay,
see.
as always, raise your hand, and if that doesn't work, just interject, okay?
Will do.
Thank you. All right, Brett, take it away.
I think Brett wants me to speak. I'm Edward
Sure.
Lalonde. I'm a
Perfect.
principal and architect here at Olson Koenig, so we're working on the design of this project. If possible, maybe zoom in to the vicinity plan, that second map, or sorry, the location map rather, just to locate this project for those of you that maybe are unfamiliar. Brett gave a pretty good introduction of its location. We're dealing with two buildings here, and maybe to speak to the to one of the comments last time, if you advance in the deck, or when you're
Okay.
ready, advance in the deck.
Just okay. So there's our Alamo, Pintado, Nahoe,
Yep.
and Grand. Okay. Let me zoom back out, and we'll get one more. There we go.
And as Brett said, we have made some additions. This shows the existing conditions, just for context, of the building, and and what we're proposing is a tasting room on the east, and then the west will be a sort of a deli cafe function, offering dry goods and things like that from the Kiani Preserve, another project that our office is working on. And the tasting room is for the winery program.
Okay.
And these are renderings, illustrations showing our proposed design. So the upper left shows the actual condition. There are a group of, I believe they're cypress trees, I could be wrong, that
Italian cypress to me.
yeah, that block the view of the backyard from the alley parking. And the view on the right, just so there's no confusion, we removed the trees just so that you could see the buildings. Those two buildings that are symmetric about the trellis are two tasting rooms, and then centered on that trellis is a third tasting room. That's actually an existing part of the building there. And what we're proposing in terms of aesthetics, and we do have a material palette in this deck, is painting out white the buildings. They're blue right now. Painting the windows white as well, so it's a very subdued kind of presence on the urban scale. And then these additional buildings in the backyard that are against the alley will be painted brick and a truss roof system, and something like a galvanized or Ryan zinc standing seam roof system. Again, this is conceptual, so the design is evolving as we speak, but this is our kind of what we're proposing. There's an intense landscape program, which we'll walk you through in a minute. Just in terms of the concern of the glazing, we are glazing those buildings minimally for daylighting and also so that patrons can experience the gardens. But as you can see from the illustration on the upper left, those are largely blocked by plantings, existing and proposed. This is there's our material palette. So very beige, light color. The deck would be Kebony, which is number 2 there. Kebony is a vinegar treated wood that silvers over time, but is protected. And then, you know, something like a white washed oak for the floors, and then white painted wood for the casework and some of the walls. And then number 4 shows a powder coated or a coated metal that we painted white as well. There is some concrete proposed for the floor, and then the brick we're going to paint white, but almost like a whitewash, so you can still see the materiality of the brick through it.
Okay.
And then our landscape plan, I mentioned a minute ago that it was quite intense, and I think this will take some maybe some imagination by the board here on the street side. And this came up in the last meeting. We're proposing a tall hedge so that it feels really green and also provides privacy for patrons inside the landscape spaces. So there's a tall hedge that goes along Alamo Pintado, and then there are gates. So on the plan right side, there's a gate that allows the public to see into the garden, but still creates a sense of privacy. And then the 2 points of entry, one for the wine tasting room and the other one for the deli, are going to be precast concrete pavers there. And because of the restrictions of the septic system and the leach field, which I'm sure this board is very familiar with, we really only have a handful of planted in the ground trees. One is an existing olive tree, or I think it's an olive tree that's in the backyard there. And then the row of cypress that I spoke about a minute ago. And then this pepper tree here, which may get replaced in the outdoor sitting area. That might actually be a persimmon tree. We're still working that out. But a lot of the other plantings that you'll see in this plan are in planters. And that is just because of the restrictions of the leach field. We have lots of outdoor seating. And so you can imagine a very lush planted environment that provides cover overhead in the intense California sun. The decking in the back is we're replacing the deck that is there now. We're also replacing the trellis that's there with new construction. What is also different from the last time this board has seen this plan are not only the 2 VIP tasting rooms that I mentioned a minute ago with renderings, but that dog leg addition to the deli there. And that is for staff spaces to serve these 2 retail functions, and then a storage building on the lower right, or maybe the southwest. And other than that, I think you could just flip through the illustrations or the drawings. I don't think there's much more to.
Do you have do your architectural site plans show the difference between proposed and existing?
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me. If you zoom out and you go to, I meant to actually start there. Thanks for the reminder, Bethany. And you go to the architectural plan. So flip through or advance through the set here. This shows some of the planting concepts. And we can flip back here if we like. Okay, if you go, do you see the key plan there in the far right? If you can, no, in the title block.
Over here. Yeah.
Yes. If you're able to zoom in there, this shows in dark gray is the existing.
Let's see. Shoot. Let's do this. I don't know why I drew a square, but there you go.
Yeah. So in the light gray are the additions.
Okay.
Yeah, so I apologize. I meant to start there.
This portion of the deli is existing. The wine tasting and VIPA is already there, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's zoom back out. All right, so continue, please.
And I feel like I've talked quite a bit about the architecture already in terms of the exterior effects. This is the floor plan.
Okay.
And I don't know what the board would be. There is an attic space there that's existing. And then we are currently studying the feasibility of replacing the existing roof. You know, when we add on that dog leg, it may just be more cost effective to replace that portion of the roof, although it is in decent shape. And we are looking at the entry awning of the deli. And next time we come to the board, we'll probably have a solution for that. That is largely driven by the need for septic for leach field. So this drawing here shows a side-by-side comparison, or top to bottom comparison of what is existing at the top in blue and then what is proposed below. So that shows the addition of those to the deli on the left, and then the two tasting rooms that flank the trellis in the foreground.
And the storage room is, because it's a separate building, it's not.
It's not shown just because it's of where the view is taken. And similarly on the north elevation, you could do a comparison of existing to proposed, largely untouched other than painting. And then we've modified the window up in that dormer. It's a door to nowhere with two, I mean, it's a door to the roof basically, and a faux kind of guardrail. And so we've proposed replacing that with one window there. And you do see the tasting room in the background. That would be in the backyard. We're not showing any of the plantings in this view.
Okay.
And then this shows largely the addition, other than the paint job that I spoke about before, the addition on the backside for staff spaces. Yes, right there.
And is this structure is here and you're removing it entirely, or?
Yeah, that there is an existing storage building back in the alley now, and we're replacing that with a new structure that shows up in our plan.
There should be a structure shown here.
Yeah, that's true. It's removed in our view so that you can see the tasting room, but it shows up in the plan.
Do we have elevations of that structure?
We do not. To be totally honest, we haven't designed it yet. And so we'll come back to the board with that.
Got it. That makes total sense. Okay. Do you need to go back to the landscape? Does your landscape design person need to, or what, to go over the landscape at all?
The landscape architect is not here, but we can show these images just for the board. And these are some of the kind of look and feel of that space.
Right.
And so it feels really enclosed, a lot of outdoor seating, protected from the harsh sun, as I spoke about before, showing some of the landscape materials down on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the plantings those are kind of in flux, but some of the plantings that we're proposing, a lot of them in planters, as I mentioned before, because of the leach field, and but still trying to create a really lush, heavily planted environment for patrons and also for people that pass by the building.
Okay, so let's see. These two trees are existing. California black walnut or sycamore.
Mm-hmm.
These are supposed to be olives. These are quince.
Mm-hmm.
It's small pomegranates. Where's the call out? What's this say? Olives, more olives. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like, boy, hard to find the call outs unless you know what you're looking for. Grapevine. This is replaced with a large persimmon or walnut. That's a sycamore. These are potted olives. Okay. And then I'm not sure what these are, but that's okay. 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 Probably some citrus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then here's the rest of the.
Yeah, a lot of fragrant plantings as well.
Sure.
Grapes. There's an existing grape that we're going to try to reestablish when we replace the trellis.
Okay. All right. Do we have any quick questions from the board before we call for public comment?
I have a quick question, Bethany.
Yes, Denise.
Hi. What is the tree that will be removed? Sorry, I missed that.
There's a large, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that large tree is, I think it's a pepper tree now. And this is still in discussion, actually. And we're looking, I believe it's going to be replaced with a persimmons tree.
Okay.
Or walnut.
Okay. Any other questions, Denise?
Just real quick, is the south plant parking lot considered to be sort of a minor entry to the kind of campus, to the wine tasting garden and all of that?
Yes, it is a secondary entry. That's the intent, that most patrons would be entering off the street. But there is still access, obviously accessible access through that shifted axes ramp, concrete path onto the deck.
Okay. And then, I'm sorry, and then the last quick question, is it meant that if you purchase something at the restaurant, then you can go over to the wine tasting seating area? Is it kind of meant to be a kind of a collaboration of uses, sort of?
That's how we envision it, that this would be, if I understand the question correctly, you could purchase items at the deli or the wine tasting room and then bring them out into the gardens to enjoy them.
So a wine taster, I think Denise is getting at, a wine taster could come out and sit in the cafe bistro area, or somebody from the delicatessen could come out here on the outdoor patio or this outdoor sitting area over here.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I mean, that you can balance, you can take your sandwich over and have it with your wine tasting. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other?
Yes.
Cass.
Just very, is it the existing Italian cypress? Is that the gray existing trees? Is that them there?
Yes, that's correct.
And they're staying, all of the Italian cypress you're intending to keep?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And then also, I think you went by, but could we go back and just see the photographs of the surrounding area, you know, just the context of the properties across the street and adjacent and that sort of thing?
I don't think we have that.
Oh, we don't. Okay.
There were these images. Is this what you're asking?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So this is adjacent here. Those are the Italian cypress in the back. This is the Grange, right?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. So the intent is, and maybe you could just confirm that this is, you know, open to the public and people can come in and they can partake in all these various things that you have, the deli, et cetera, the wine tasting, and they can go in and purchase whatever they want and then come out and be anywhere in the landscape. Is that the idea?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Board members? Okay. Jonathan, will you do public comment? Did I lose you, Jonathan? Okay. If there's any members of the public that wish to make a comment on this, could you please raise your hand? I'm not seeing any. Okay, so I'm not seeing anybody indicating that they're wishing to speak on this item. So let's go to the board deliberations. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, Lowell.
Okay, I think the landscape plan is beautiful. I think that it's I'm a fan of more formal type gardening, and this is leaning in that direction, although it still has a very open urban or country feeling to it. So I like the landscape a lot. I'm a little interested to see how you would develop the front hedge, because it sounds like that's going to privatize the space and not feel so open to the public. But is it, I guess my question would be, is it actually open to the public, or is it wine club members only? And then as far as the buildings, I think all the additions seem to make sense, and I think the design is very simplistic and quite beautiful and I appreciate the work on the existing more Victorian building, which is a little bit over the top, and I'm glad you're bringing it back with removing the balcony and the door to nowhere on the second floor. And my only other slight concern would be that everything is on the white palette, and I think it might be a little overwhelming in white, but perhaps if the specimen trees or the trees in the landscape were all specimen size, then I think it would certainly tone it down a lot. But overall, I think it's a vast improvement for the existing property.
Okay,
Thank you.
who's next? Oh, don't make me start calling names.
I'll go next, sure.
Thanks,
Oh,
Kim.
yes, yeah. I agree with the comments that Lowell has made. I would just, yeah, I think it's nice. I think the white is appropriate. And I think with, although you might consider, maybe having a little bit more contrast somewhere. I do like what you proposed, though. I think the materials are really beautiful. I share a little bit of concern that I think Lowell brought up about being sure that you're not closing it off, that it's opening up to the community and welcoming the community and not feeling private. So maybe consider that. We're thrilled all that we got so much water recently, but I think we also need to remain mindful of conservation of water. So I just bring that up as to be mindful of the native landscape, the landscape that we love so much in the valley. How do we, everything that we do, how do we ensure that we are very clear in any development that happens, that we know where we are, that we are in the San Ynez Valley. So anything that can further enhance that, I think is a good thing. I would just say I like the combination of a cottage and then some of the more contemporary elements you have, particularly on the south elevation. We are in town here, so we're not out in the country up on top of a hill. So the light leak issue is not as much of a concern, but it is a concern nonetheless. So I would just remind about that. And but I think it's really nice overall. I like the direction that you're going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Robin and then Puck.
I concur with both Lowell and Cass.
Okay. Puck? Did we lose you, Puck?
Sorry, I was having trouble with my audio and my Wi-Fi stuff. Anyway, no, I think like I just concur with everyone. I'm looking forward to this, and I'm a little on the fence about the white, as I feel like our town is sort of turning, every building seems to be turning white, but in this case, the way it's arranged and everything, I do like it. So looking forward to the next steps.
Okay, Denise?
Hi, yes, I think it's beautiful. It's such an improvement to what is there. One thing I will mention though, I think that if visitors who are parking in that south parking lot might be a little confused about how to get to the front door. I see that there's a little ramp and then there's an entryway, and then you can go around. But I would suggest maybe looking at that the wayfinding might be improved a little bit from the south side.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And Alan?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
How did I know that? All right. Nicole, I'm going to try and kind of recapitulate a little bit here. There was there were comments about whether or not the hedge was perhaps too visually restrictive, making the project feel like it was actually very, very private and not actually a business kind of a thing. That's my spin on what people said, because that's I'm adding some of my comment in there as well. We appreciate the improvement to the architectural design, specifically the elimination of the door and the balcony. That was it's kind of brought it back, the building back to kind of its roots a little bit, which is very nice to see. There's some ambivalence about the color. So, I mean, that's just a general comment. And now I don't think there was any strong direction from anybody's comments, but just some concern, as well as some support a little bit, just to see where they go next. Then also the fenestration, just kind of keep an eye on your fenestration and the amount of light trespass you have as you move forward. There was a suggestion to take another look at this wayfinding here from the south parking area. I know the site offers some challenges, but I think we can all agree that there might be a better way to kind of take control of that, make it a little more obvious and a little less restrictive visually, so that people can see where they're going to be going. That's always a good thing with wayfinding. Let's see, did I miss anything else? I think that's it. I'm really, my comments are, I'm looking forward to seeing how the landscape plan moves forward. I'm seeing a lot of aromatics and things that produce edibles, for example, the persimmon and the walnuts, olives. But it's going to be really interesting moving forward to see where you go with your Wello and making your Wello calculations. And I just want to say it's a very interesting design response to a constrictive site with the low perk and everything, and the use of potted plants and container plants can be a very creative solution. And I think I'm with Lowell as well. I'm responding quite well to this added structure and formality, which doesn't, except for at the edges, appear to be much of a barrier. But it's a very nice landscape design. Okay, so I think that's it. Going to call item number 2. 22 bar.
How would you like to see this one return?
I think preliminary. Is that what the board thinks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're ready for it. The drawings certainly are. But we're just interested to see where they go and they take that next step. Okay, thanks, Nicole. 22 bar 233 El Yamando, new single-family dwelling and accessory structures. And this one was also continued. So while I pull up the drawings, as soon as I get the drawings up, well, I'll read the comments and then we'll go ahead and get going on it. All right, so hold on just a second. When I do this next time, if there is a next time, I'm going to change this a little bit. Okay, 214. All right, so I do that one or this one? Okay, let's try this. Okay, so that's the wrong one, I think. Let's see, who's the planner for this? This is Tina's. All right. I lost my. All right. Let's do this one. Here we go. All right. So the comments from last time were concerned about light trespass. Consider the addition of a covered outdoor livable spaces for shade. Improve the graphic quality of the plans so that details are visible. Looking forward to seeing further landscape development. Great start. Appreciate the constraint of the scale of the proposed build out. Provide pictures of colors and materials board. All right, so let's go back to that. All right. We have somebody here for this one?
Yeah, Greg Schmant here.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
So basically, we saw you about a month ago. This is on Edison. It's an interior lot. I don't know if you want to zoom in on the aerial there. There you go. It sits back off the Edison there's a 10-acre parcel in front, has a easement that goes back to this parcel. And it's surrounded on the north side by a big ag property. It has those two white buildings there, kind of close there. Those are like storage or something.
And that's on the other property, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And so as you look at the site plan, we have on the north side, if you remember, we have a 25-foot vegetation buffer and a 100-foot no build zone, which are depicted there. The two residents or the two buildings will be to the north side, to the west side, far to the west side, and they're well off the property line, kind of surrounding the existing oak trees.
Okay.
And then on the south side, there is a proposed 12-stall barn and a garage equipment building with a guest house loft. Correct. A little survey, that's a survey. And then here's the garage with the loft, guest house. Floor plans, basically there's open on the two sides of the lower level. Kind of has carriage door in the center one. And then above, it takes a staircase up, which is interior. And it has like a little loft sitting room and a little sleeping area.
Okay.
And then the elevations are right there. So basically it's like a 1x8 TNG. There's a material board, I think it's the next sheet, that, it's kind of a darker, kind of a grayish. It's actually an Akoya wood that a brand that we're gonna use, like to use. So it's on the darker side, and then going with a corrugated galvanized roof, and it does have the bronze colored window frames. You see the lighting there. So this will be the same color palette as for the roof on the stables too.
Okay.
The two, some little details there. So the two modular units, those plans should be coming up after all this stuff. There they are. So basically, the main residence is about 1,600 square feet, which is the HO5 as it's called there. And the HO3 is the ADU, which is about 900 square feet. That's the kind of the palette there. There's a metal siding that's that darker gray, they're calling it. It's kind of a no gloss, kind of a satin color. The clear cedar is for the surrounding. It kind of blocks the outside mechanical, which you can see later on the floor plan. And then the decking will be like that darker. It's the Timber Tech. It's I believe they call it ash wood color. It's kind of a gray color.
Okay.
So the one comment last time was needing some shade, or look at some shading options for the 2 units there. And so I believe Kim's on the landscape architect. So we come up with a sailcloth approach, which is, I believe, on L5, which is towards the end of all these sheets here. They kind of give the deck area some shading. I don't know if we want to skim all the way down to, I think it's L5.
Oh, they're not coming up as.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could just, it's almost the last, I'd say last 5 sheets of the whole.
Yep.
For some reason, the electrical plan got, there's the barn.
There's the barn.
Yep. Okay, they're kind of depicts a little. Yeah, there's actually a little more enlarged drawing of that, but that's kind of gives you the idea of putting 3 cloths there and then 2 on the smaller unit to kind of help with that area there and give a nice little something that's not so built in kind of a structure.
Okay.
More of the existing there. What is that? That's the grading.
This is.
Yeah, this is more stormwater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here they are. Yeah, so it's a little bit bigger layout there. I don't know, Kim, I don't know if you want to chime in on the.
Sure. We're looking at doing a bronze powder coat posts that would support these sails and the fabric that we've chosen, which is the gray. It's a warm colored gray, sort of to match the rest of the palette. And then you can see the rest of our palette there is the gravel, the Felton Gold, which has a lot of browns and grays in it. It's not the bright gold one. And then a paver for the walkways up to the deck. So we're all staying in that warm gray and earth tone colors. And then we've oriented the shade structure, the shade sails on the sort of that south east side of the homes. And then, you know, of course, that the homes themselves will provide the afternoon shade, but we're getting that midday morning shade. And so we have these pivoted up so that they're low up the south side and they raise up towards the northeast. So it gives it a little dynamic feeling there, and then helps with that shade with the sun angles.
Okay. You want me to just continue carrying on here?
Sure. So this is those were the irrigation plans and the Wheelo calcs. And then the next sheet there is the landscape plan that you're probably interested in. So this is the more developed, final planting plan. And we have in that 20-foot landscaped buffer to the north, a mix of native shrubs. We've got the Ceanothus, Joyce Coulter, so that we're having the sort of a low mounding, 5 to 6 foot height, informal screening along the edge there. And then where the buildings are, we pop up to the native cherry and toyon. We have the valley oaks that are required per planning, and then we're mixing in some of the coast live oaks. And so we've mixed in some of the larger box trees along with what's required for the small 1 gallons that was required on the lot. And then we have those sort of, the vegetation drops down to enhance the mountain views there, because we can see Figueroa Mountain and Grass Mountain from this property, but we're also providing that level of screening from buildings and things happening on the site. And then if you pan down, straight down, have a little bit of landscaping around the barn there. Again, sticking with a more native and Mediterranean plant palette, very, very loose, some more oak trees in that area, the Bouteloua grasses, you kind of get that sunlight, the Arctostaphylos ground cover, so the soft gray Pacific mist, and then bringing in some of the toyon along the property line. There's some buildings and solar panels back there that we're sort of screening from the barn and the guest house there. So just very kind of informal. We have a small gravel seating area near the entry to the guest house with the oak trees to provide shade. And then a couple of the Lagostromia, the crepe myrtle there, flanking either side of the barn, anchoring those, some color there. And then over to the left, pan to the left, we can zoom in on the guest house there, carrying that same type of palette with the native grasses and native shrubs, some lavenders, ceanothus, the Arctostaphylos manzanita around there, and again with some of the Lagostromias, placing some of the oaks there to the outside, the coast live oak, evergreen. So we're screening from that Highway 154 corridor, along with the oaks, the valley oaks along the perimeter and the landscape buffer there. And we have all the native cherry hedge there, screening the buildings to the southeast or southeast there, southwest, excuse me. And then similar plant palette around the main residence, again with the native feel, but arranged in a little more formal fashion here. With the same oak trees, providing the screening and some afternoon shade there, and the grasses and manzanita and the ceanothus, that sort of thing, a few cissus in there. So we're getting color throughout the year, and interest in the light with the seed heads in the winter. And that's the basic of the planting there. So keeping it simple and low water use.
Okay.
And then what do we have next? I think the rest, it's all details. The rest is all details on planting and irrigation, and then our arborist report. So, yep.
Okay.
And I believe that concludes our presentation. Anything else, Greg?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so, unless there's some questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions from board members on clarification on anything?
Bethany, I have one question.
Yes.
You calling on me?
Yes, Cass.
Okay, could we just go back to the elevations of the proposed residence and the ADU?
Getting there.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the ADU section.
Yeah.
Lighting.
It is the elevation, 3D or whatever. Yeah.
This is the ADU.
Okay. And the siding is metal, you mentioned, yes, dark metal, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, and then the other one, the main house?
I think that's this.
Okay,
That's it.
great.
Okay.
Just wanted to kind of remind myself. Thank you.
Okay, Denise, was it Denise?
Yeah, actually, I found it. I had a question about the stormwater in the pasture, but I see the note there, so I'm good. Thanks.
Okay.
I just had a question about the shade sale.
Yep.
So these are permanent?
They can be taken down in the winter.
Okay.
We are looking at the tension so that it can handle the wind load, but they could be taken down in the winter. But they do, they can handle the wind load in the area.
And are you working with a specific manufacturer or something?
Yeah, Derek over at Got Shade, he does engineering, he manufactures and sews and does the installation and the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just curious because there is quite a range of quality in shade sales.
Correct. No, he does really good work, and we've used him out at the university and public projects, so they're very good quality, long lasting.
Yeah. Okay. That was the question.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Jonathan, are you back?
Yes, I'm right here.
All right, you want to call for public comment?
Yes, if anybody has a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Not seeing any.
Okay, let's go to deliberation. Who wants to start? Lowell, you want to start us off again?
Well, I had one question back to the shade sails. Can you tell us how tall they are? How tall the post is, and then does the shade sail reach from the ground to the top of the post?
Sure. If we can go back to that sheet L5, Bethany.
I'm trying to get there.
There we go. If you zoom in down there to detail 1, we have the heights on there. So I believe it's 12.6, 14 feet, and 7'6". So we're able to, we start down low at the 7'6", 7 feet 6 inches, and then it swoops up to that 14 feet, which is above, we're about a foot above the elevation of the buildings there. So we're sort of can sail up and over them.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You want to start comments there, Lowell, or?
No other comments at this time.
Okay. Cass, you want to start?
Okay, sure. Thank you for this presentation. Really appreciate it. My comments are that I think that the garage with the unit over it is pretty successful. I think it has a good feeling, and I think, as I said before today, that it feels like I'm in the valley, and I feel it feels appropriate. So I think that is a successful a piece of this. The house and the ADU, I commend you for using a modular type system. A lot of people are doing that these days, and we're seeing them come out. I think you have an opportunity to, it still looks like a modular to me. And I think that I'm not convinced that the sales are the best solution. I would suggest that you may consider the possibility of helping to transform those boxes into something that feels more like a ranch house by considering the possibility of building a covering that wraps around a structure, not a sail structure, a roof structure that would wrap around and cover the porches. Just to think about that, that's a very traditional, we see it all the time. So it might be a way to just completely transform these little boxes into something that feels more like a substantial ranch house. So that's my only issue with it. It just feels like it needs more detail like that to help it feel like it belongs up in the valley. those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Huck?
Geez, my
Yes.
mute button keeps, I don't know what's going on with it. Yeah, I appreciate, I just am a little concerned since we don't really have any elevations showing these shade sails. And I think in the valley, you know, they really do, sort of like Arizona. I mean, they sort of take a beating, and they tend to, I think the color's fine. They won't look quite as dirty. But I just thought that maybe not quite what Cass was saying, but you know, an extension of the architecture in some kind of very lightweight trellis that resonates with the architecture. But I think that's my really only comment. It's not I'm not going to not support the project because of the shade sails, but I'm not sure it's the best long-term solution.
Okay. Robin?
I agree with Cass. I think these modular structures are very contemporary and don't really, they don't really go with the garage guest house loft. And I think Cass's remarks were good. I think having an overall roof shade element would really add to it, and there could be other details that made it more fit in with the two different styles. That's it.
Okay. Denise?
Hi, yeah, thank you for this presentation. It's really nice. I have just a couple comments. I would like to see a little bit more screening in the southwest corner, maybe for privacy, and just maybe a little bit of a boundary between this proposed development and the neighboring property, and also shading the pasture area. And then I was hoping that you could consider including a pedestrian pathway to the barn. It's a circuitous type of route to get to the barn, almost like you might have to drive or use that to get all the way around the property to get to the barn. It would likely be useful to be able to walk there and on a solid surface. So that would be my two comments: additional screening and pedestrian walkway to the barn area. Thank you.
Lowell?
Well, I think, you know, we see lots of different architecture come to the valley more recently. And I can appreciate the smaller size structures for a 20-acre parcel, which is kind of rare. But I think my biggest concern would be the shade sails. Again, I think they are just inappropriate for the valley, and maybe money would be better spent on large specimen oak trees in those locations. Other than that, everything else I appreciate the landscape plan. I think it's well done, and agree with the other board members on their comments.
Okay. Alan?
I'm with Lowell on this one. I think the landscaping is fairly nice. I'm good with that. And the shade sails are not, for me, not as problematic as the rest of you, but I can see where that would be a problem.
Okay. Board, I want to be able to give the applicant some good direction moving forward. So I'd like to have a little bit of discussion. I'm feeling that the board is having trouble melding the two styles on the site. And one of our findings is, of course, that all of the structures on the site be, harmonious to each other and everything else. And I'm not disagreeing with anything. What I'm trying to do here is get us to have a little bit more discussion about, potentially about, do we want to give a little more direction or clarification on some of the things we've said about what we're trying to achieve. Because for me, I think, and then you guys tell me if I'm off balance here, but what I'm getting is we have no problems with the styles of the horse barn and the guest house over the garage. And that's fine. But given the fact that the two modulars, the two houses are very clean, very modest, and very modern almost. It's a very fair look as compared to the detailing and everything else. That what we're trying to convey to the applicant is perhaps they could come in here with some shade structures that kind of bridge between those two fairly radical styles, adjacent to each other. I mean, radical in difference. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
Bethany, if I could
Yes.
respond there. I think I think we've given them good input.
Okay.
And we're not here to design it. That's their job to do.
Not what I'm going for. What I'm going for is something that we can give them some clear direction. I mean, we've suggested a lot of things, and we've said things like, I'm not sure the sales are the right way to go and everything. But Puck said, actually, it would be really cool if I kind of got from the context of her comments that she was hoping that they would take this as an opportunity to kind of meld the two styles by using, a wraparound porch and some of the comments you said, trellis, some of those other things. So is that, broadly speaking, correct? I
think that's what we're saying. And, I believe that we've given really good input here to help, and that we're looking for, what you just said, to bridge it a bit. So okay. I'm fine with what we've said already.
Okay. And Puck?
I'm probably a little bit off that comment. I do feel it's possible with the shade structure. I'm probably more comfortable with these disparate architectural styles on the same property. This happens a lot up here, which is kind of what I like about, there's some sort of quirky things going on, and these are such modest buildings, which I really appreciate. That, if it was some huge 8,000 square foot contemporary 2-story thing, I'd have a totally different opinion. But I do feel that, and maybe I think I don't want to speak for others, but there's definitely I have a level of discomfort with these shade sales. I wish I could have seen some 3D models or something where it's really acknowledged that they're part of the architecture. I don't have anything against shade sales, but I don't really understand how they're going to relate to the architecture of the structures, because they are going to be part of that whole piece. And I'm not sure it's really been given that much thought about that, or we haven't seen.
We're not seeing it.
We're not seeing it.
Okay. Robin?
I concur with what's been said.
Well, I'd like you to amplify a little bit. I mean, what is it? What I'm getting is, and I personally am very much kind of where Puck was. I don't have an objection to the two styles. They're far enough distant on the same lot. This happens fairly often. It's, as Puck said, it's a very modest proposal. I'm again, as Puck said, I'm a little at a loss to understanding, exactly how the shade sails and the actual structures are going to integrate, because I can infer a lot, but that's not exactly, I can make a lot of assumptions basically, and that's not what it gets built. I can wind up, saying, yes, I approve this, and then, we can't, right? That wasn't what I approved, but well, yes, it was. So, but I'm getting from the board that, I'm not trying to speak from anybody, but I'm getting that Cass is feeling a very strong tension between these two styles and is having trouble making her findings for that. Robin is kind of somewhere in there. Puck and I are a little towards the middle, or a little more having less of an issue with it, but want to have some more understanding. Lowell is also struggling with a little bit with understanding and understanding the integration of the shade structures and everything. Denise, I don't have such a feel for you, so hopefully you're somewhere in that paradigm I was just outlining. But what I'm trying to get at for the board is, what I want to be able to do is, I want to be able for them, instead of having them parse this disparity, we haven't really reached a consensus. What I'm trying to do is to get us to give them some direction that I feel confident is a consensus representation of what we're telling them to do, so they can go forth and do it.
Bethany, I think,
Madam Chair.
Sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I think they've been given multiple examples of trellis porch trees that they could work with.
Okay.
That's just
Agree.
on the board.
Okay. Maybe I'm
Bethany,
making it.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair.
Yes, Cass.
Madam Chair. Hello?
Yes, Cass.
Yes, thank you. I want to make it very clear that I do not oppose different styles on a particular parcel at all. I don't object to that at all. What I'm objecting to here is, what I'm having difficulty with is that I think it needs to be detailed out a little bit more to make it feel less like a box, less like a off-the-shelf structure. That's what I'm trying to say, and you're asking for this information. So I believe we've given really good, as Nicole just called out there, I think we've given really good comment, but I just want it to be clear that I do not oppose differing styles.
Okay, that's it. It's me that's having the issue. It's okay. So sorry for that, everybody. But I had a little issue there, and I think we talked it out so that I understand where we all are. Helps me know when we've reached consensus, but I apparently missed it, and we were there. Okay, I'm good. Nicole, you've got lots of comments, so.
Yes, I'm good.
Anybody have anything they need to add? Okay. All
Just
right.
Thank you to the applicant. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, and it is a very, I appreciate your presentation, and it's a nice project. So thank you very much.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment? This is Dominique Miel. I'm actually the owner. And I thank you for your all your comments. I just wanted to make a general remark that these prefab are actually, they're quite beautiful, I think. They're very simple, but they're not boxes. They are moderns, but again, very, very small. and they will be quite far from the barn and the garage. So I think it will not read as a mismatch and sort of hodgepodge. It will read as two different areas. I have to say I'm a little confused as to how to go forth with the shading. We certainly don't have to use that sail shade. My original thought was to put patio furniture, umbrellas that are movable and closable to provide shade. If that's satisfactory, we'll happily remove the shade. I'm a little bit concerned about building something that is not the modern style, but neither is it the barn style. And then we start making those prefab homes then looking like a bad hybrid, rather than keeping them as clean and nice as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think you'll find that if you get with the design team, I think I've interjected erroneously some doubt about this, but I think our comments will convey the kind of thing we're looking for. So check the comments, the draft comments from your planner, and you guys should be able to move forward. Yeah. Okay.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Come on. Let's go to here. I think this is the next one. This is the next item, which is, I think, the Skyline Trust. Is that correct? Am I on the right one? Yes, Skyline Trust. 22, item number 4, 22 bar 74.
Actually, Bethany, it's
right.
Brett. I think you're on number 3.
Okay, thank you. I'm just having quite a bit of a day. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
Bethany, this is Tina. Can you clarify how you want the last project to return?
Board, how do we need the last project to return?
I would continue it.
You want further conceptual?
Yes, that's my one.
It's agendized for prelim final.
Yeah.
I was going to say continue for prelim final.
Yeah,
that would be how I'd do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me get the right one shared here. Boy. Okay, there we go. Sorry, too many screens. Okay. We're on number 3, which that's Santa Rosa Road, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So let's do this one. Okay. Let me get the item called. So this is item number 3, 22 bar 00221 J&N Farm Project LLC edition. The comments from last time were dimension height on plans demonstrate hillside ridgeline compliance. Provide information on the proposed lights, cut sheets, confirm 2700 Kelvin or less, etc. Add a note, preferably to the elevations, that colors and materials detailing roofing, etc. are to match existing. Okay. So, off you go.
Hello, board. Zachary Ulrich here. So we, were there any members of the board that did not see this project? We were here about a month ago. I'd love to be brief because the last one was so long. We were told to return on consent,
Yes.
even though we're not agendized for it.
It actually says, if you read the item, it says for preliminary and final review. At one point, it said on consent. But
Yeah, sorry, that was my mistake. It was supposed to be on consent, but by the time we realized it, it was already too late to put the
We'd already
72.
did the agenda, yes.
Mhm.
So, okay,
So this plan, this view is great. We'll jump into I think the first item, which is the topography.
yep,
I've got some finished grade call outs there. If you zoom in, just demonstrating the fact that it is hillside ridge. I think the fact that we're demonstrating that it is hillside ridge and not hillside ridge, I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that. It is hillside ridge, so I've demonstrated.
we definitely understand that it falls within the jurisdiction of the Hillside Ridgeline Ordinance. I think what we were asking you to do, Zach, was to demonstrate that there wasn't a 16-foot fall within 100 foot of any point of the structure.
Right.
And let's see what you got here.
Yeah, so that's a 20-foot fall within 100 feet.
So it does trigger the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That clarifies that.
And then if we jump to the floor plan, which would be that's the demo plan, and then just go one more.
Yep.
You can see the finish note there that I've put a bold rectangle around.
I'll finish the materials, colors, and details to match existing.
So that was one of our items there. And then the exterior elevations. If we scroll down a little bit, no changes to the roof plan. You can see the dimension there for the ridge height.
I think it says 16.3.
Mm-hmm.
15.3.
Yeah, 15.3. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got that there, and then that note that you asked for also shows up here on the elevation, the finish note.
Okay.
And then the next page, we've got the cut sheet on the light.
Okay.
So the existing lighting unfortunately doesn't match or doesn't comply.
Right.
So our new lighting will comply, and I have a note there saying that we'll be replacing the rest of the lights to match.
Okay.
This new fixture.
All right.
And I think that was all of the items.
And do you have your 2700 for your lighting here? What's your lamp?
Sorry,
you're doing an incandescent lamp?
Right.
Okay. You don't have anything in the color temperature. Would you be amenable to us if in our motion we placed a requirement of 2700 Kelvin for the temperature?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. I think that's it. Did it conclude your presentation?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we didn't yeah, no changes.
Because the details, colors, materials, and everything are to match existing windows and doors and all that. Okay. Board, do you have any questions?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I have one very just silly question, I guess. If I could. On this elevation, we're looking at the east elevation. In the background is existing, and then we're looking at the proposed in the front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And then, so we have a window back there on the existing. Is that on the right-hand side?
Yeah, that's the kitchen window.
So the wall just goes right up to the left.
There's a jog. If
There's
we
a
were to
jog
go to the
back.
floor plan,
Okay.
there's a jog.
Got it. It's really, it was just a curiosity. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I understand. So if you see the shape,
Yeah,
there's a
I
U
get
shape
it.
there
I get it.
with the
Thank
patio
you.
area.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Jonathan, you want to call for public comment?
Yes, if there's anybody that would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Appears that we have none.
Okay, do we have any deliberation from the board? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for final approval.
With
I'll second.
Can we amend the motion, Puck, for final approval, preliminary final approval with the condition that the lamp fixture be a 2700 degree Kelvin?
Oh.
Okay.
So amended.
Okay, and there was a second, Cass.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you very much, Zach. That was nice and quick.
Thanks, Bethany. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I think we should, the next one is Skyline Trust. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Boy, I am just a train wreck today. Yes. This one, no, that's the wrong one, isn't it?
Hey, Bethany, that is the correct one. This is
That's the correct
bad.
one. Thank you very much. I
And
just had an awful day today. Okay. All right. So let me see. There were some comments, I think. The comments last time, some members felt that the vents seem out of proportion with the roof. Appreciate the preservation of natural vegetation as landscape, and the structure appears to trigger hillside ridgeline. Please, planner to confirm. No action taken. Project may return for preliminary review. Do we have a planner here for this one?
yes, Bethany, that's gonna be me.
Okay.
And I will, Alicia's here as well as agent for the project. I will start off for this though. The plans, I believe the plans are the exact same as the board saw the last hearing. This project is back to one, confirm that it does in fact meet the hillside ridgeline distance. So it is subject to those requirements. It meets it by about 4 inches for maybe 2 linear feet. So it's kind of just on the cusp of not meeting it. So the applicants wish to return and request that the board either exempt it from those requirements, both in the interest of good design and because it's not visible from a street, and to allow greater functionality of the barn, or to ask questions about kind of the best way to move forward if it would be exempted.
Okay. All right. So applicant, you want to go ahead and walk us through your project and talk about that hillside ridgeline and what you're asking for?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. This is Alicia Harrison with Brownstein here for the project today. And we were before your board in November. So some of this might look familiar. Just to reorient you on that cover page, we're talking about in that outline, the red outline. Yeah. So it's a 1,000-acre parcel, and the area of renovation is identified by that rectangle. And it's about 3/4 of a mile up from the road. So it's quite a distance back on the private driveway. And then you can go to the next page. So we are looking to redevelop an abandoned, basically, tennis court area, the larger rectangle, and that's the location of the proposed barn. And then the other smaller rectangle is the existing garage, and that's the residential garage. There's no garage attached to the existing residence. And so the idea is to expand that to a four-bay garage. And that shows the proposed location. So the given, the existing setting, there's very full with oak trees and just a large agricultural property that the property owner wants to keep as is and not disturb any new areas. The idea is to just stay within this already disturbed area. You can see, let's see, so some of the topo shown here, but so go to the next sheet. That was the topo that, so go back to the topo, please. So that shows the larger topo of the area. And I do have, so we felt the best course of action was to verify or, confirm the topo that was provided, because this was, I don't remember the year, but this is an older topo, but given the hillside and ridgelines concerns, we wanted to verify the area. But the only area of concern, and that Ben Singer mentioned, is in the area between the corner of the existing tennis court and what's over the pool area, the cabana. So the other side of the building there.
Okay, so this is the existing tennis court, existing garage, and what was this is the
yeah, so that's an office or ranch headquarters building existing. Yeah, that's the pool, and then that other building right there is the cabana.
Right.
So the hillside area that we're talking about is in between those two areas. And it didn't make it into our submittal inadvertently, but I do, if you would like me to share my screen, I have the topo that we did with Marshall from Fargan Surveys to show.
That was, okay, hold on just a second.
Yeah, you might have it because Jonathan did forward it, because it was a request I made to be able to share that. But if you would like to put that on your screen, that would be great.
Well, the reason we don't let you share your screen is because we have to have everything available to members of the public, okay?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
We're constrained by what has been submitted.
Right.
And yours came in.
It came in after, late, I understand. Right.
So it's, let's see. So board, I do have the two documents she's talking about. Do you want me to show it or not? Board, this is.
If I may, I'll just explain. So so what we found by doing the follow-up survey is it confirmed, oh, there you go. So it confirmed the points that were in the original topo that we shared with you. And there's one small area that we're out of compliance by, a few inches. And it's a very short period. It bumps up against the backside of the existing shade barbecue area at the cabana. Yeah, just in that area. Because all other areas around the barn, the topo either goes up before it goes down, or it's at the same level, or it just has a softer gradient. So it's just that one small area that we're talking about.
Okay, well, let me zoom in and maybe we can talk about it without having to resort to those other documents. Yeah.
Yes, and my apologies for that. Ben and I both had that and didn't realize until the deadline had passed that it didn't actually get passed on to you. So my apologies. But yes, so these numbers, this topo has been verified. And so you can see it's very, very faint, but there's an existing CMU barbecue note there. Yeah. So that 100-foot basically runs.
Oh. Yeah. So what you're saying is that because this poked into the hill, you now have this drop down to this paving level. Am I inferring that correct?
Yeah. So the 100-foot. So the other diagram shows exactly where the 100-foot is and where the 622 would be. So within that 100-foot, actually behind the wall, within that 100-foot, we actually drop down just enough to trigger 16.01 feet drop within that 100-foot buffer.
Right, and I think it's right there at the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that finding, we wanted to return to your board to ask for a redemption, an exemption, since it is such a small area that's triggered it. And we feel like in terms of, the request would be in terms of good design, in terms of utilizing this underutilized and abandoned part of the site, and also that this development area is 3/4 miles back and can't be seen by public viewing areas or neighboring properties. This is a very open, spread out rural area. And on the next sheet, I think, is where we've got the photographs where you can see what the view is from the road. So it gives you the sense of how far back this is. And there are some, you know, kind of rolling hills and several oak trees between, excuse me, Elisa's Canyon Road and viewing that site. And then the other part too, this is not, there are larger hills behind this development envelope. So there's no breaching of the skyline of this proposed barn as well.
Okay.
So then if you continue on, you'll get into the layout. Oh, so sorry. Well, those are the existing photos. If you would like to see remind yourself what's existing.
And this was the area that got chopped off, that wasn't part of your.
Yeah, that's not part of what we're proposing. That area that you were just circling is where the existing cabana would be, where that minor drop is. Yeah. Okay. So it's just an open format storage barn, and the garage below. There's access on one side by stairs and access on the other side by a proposed driveway to be able to get equipment in and out of that barn.
Okay. And this is the access end down here,
yeah,
right?
That's the access end, exactly.
And that's this here.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is the rear elevation. And then
Okay.
the other side with the stair access. This is the side that faces the existing cabana and residence. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys need to make bigger type.
Bigger type, yeah.
This is okay. And just FYI, what is the height on this side from here to here?
To the ridge line is 18 feet 9 inches to ridge line.
Okay. It's handy to dimension that.
Yes, I again realized too when we resubmitted these plans that the height dimensions had not been added. And it's a 412 roof pitch.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, Bethany?
Yes.
Are we making decisions on items that were not in the packet?
No. You have seen, except for a brief 2-second flash, you haven't seen anything that wasn't, this is all included in the packet.
Including the dimensions that were noted that were not included?
The plan that she's talking about, I mean, I can show it to you if you want. I'm the only one who saw it, aside from Jonathan. And no, I'm not making a decision based on that. I asked the applicant to explain this. She was talking about they had prepared an exhibit that showed some additional information that showed a 100-foot circle, and it showed, you know, the 16-foot drop and where it occurred and all that kind of stuff. And basically what, and the applicant can go over this again, is based on your statements, ma'am, you said that it was just this area right here. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And at that point, they have a drop of, what was it again?
16.01.
So they're just over the trigger of 16 foot.
Within that 100 foot.
Does that answer your question, Alan?
So what I'm looking at, I don't remember of all the documents I looked at. What I'm looking at right here was something that was in the original packet that was sent out, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Yes, this has all been posted in Box. We're not looking at anything that wasn't. Although I did ask the board the question if we wanted to look at it, but then we got distracted and started looking at what was actually submitted, and we never looked at the document that hadn't been. Except for a brief 1 second flash on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it back here. So this height from here to here, what is that height? From this finished grade to the ridge line?
Let's see. And I don't know if I have the architect online. Unfortunately, he got called away to something else this morning. I apologize for that.
Well, I mean, one can infer it's less than 30 feet because that's what this dimension is.
Yes. So yeah, it's definitely. I'm trying to see what the, let me check here.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Is it possible that we could allow the applicant to finish the presentation before we start getting into a lot of questions?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can just continue through. Those are the elevations. And then I believe the last slide is related to the materials. We're moving toward a more modernized barn style with stone veneer and the cement board planks, corrugated metal roof, trying to keep within the earth tones and just similar to the surrounding colors and environment. And we're, this is conceptual, so of course open to comments and feedback. And the last slide that I had here was just something we had gone over last time, that this project had been before you before as part of a larger project where they were looking at the cabana as an ADU and also some significant changes, well, actually demo and rebuild of the main residence, which the owner has decided not to do. And so you looked at something very similar to this in the past. And so the upper one is what we're looking at now. So that was just a little reminder.
So this was what had gone through conceptual review before,
exactly.
And then this is what you're looking at now.
That is correct.
Your current proposal. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to just take a quick look to see if the architect was able to jump back on. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it. So hopefully I'll do the best I can. If you have any questions.
Well, I think we can, let's go ahead and just continue. And if the architect comes in and there's a question or anything that you need to refer to them, then we can deal with that then.
Okay.
When we get there. All right, board members, are there any questions before we go to public comment?
Okay, I have one quick question.
Shoot.
Can you just maybe we could look at the plan on the on this elevation we're looking at right now. We see that the doors are recessed back further and you've pulled it forward. Was that to gain some space inside that you needed?
Yes, before it was recessed, just kind of like an open covered area, but now those have been turned into 2 bays. So that is officially a 4-bay garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, Jonathan, can you do public comment?
Yes, if anybody has a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none.
Okay. Board? Does anybody want me to go first, or does anybody have a burning desire to go first?
I'd be happy to go first.
All right, Cass.
I think this is a very nice project and I don't have any issues with it. And those are my comments.
Okay, because the previous comments somebody had said something, the board, we had given direction about these vents on the top of the roof, but
They don't bother me. I think, there's lots of little tweaky things you could do if you wanted to, but I think that the project is well executed, and I don't have any further additional comments.
okay, Robin?
I don't have any issues with the vents or the changes. And I don't have any issues with the request for the exemption. I can approve this. Yes.
Okay.
I can-
I'm fine with the project. I think when you're actually out in the field, although I think the dormers personally are undersized or just a little odd, you're really not going to pick up on them at all. So they're really functioning as just vents with little roofs over them. So I'm fine.
Okay, and you're okay with the exemption?
Yes.
Okay, Denise?
Hi, I'm fine with the project as well.
And the exemption, you can make the findings for the exemption.
Yes.
Okay. Lowell?
I agree with all the other members. I'm okay with the exemption, and I think the barn is very handsome.
Okay, Alan?
I'm with Lowell.
Okay. I also don't have any issue with the exemption. I would say, though, that since you're agendized, I believe, for further conceptual, just
Correct.
That's correct. It hasn't, the amendment hasn't been approved yet. So it's still just conceptual at this point.
Okay. So what is the process? We usually take something to preliminary level and then we don't take our action, and then does it have to go to like the planning commission or something, or is this within
This will be a director level decision. So there is a staff report involved, but it doesn't go to a hearing.
Okay. All right. So, so we can just continue along with our process and the director will continue with theirs, or is there some dovetailing that we're going to need to do here? I mean, essentially, what would be the next step for them?
The next step, so on the approval side, I'm working on preparing the staff report. It'll be done pretty soon after this, knowing that we can move forward with the exemption for approval. And then I believe the way to do it will be after that for them to return to CBAR as either preliminary or preliminary and final, however the board would like to see it.
Okay. All right. So it's just in the interim, before we see it come back, it's going to go to the director for their approval, and then it'll come back to us, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just being slow today, so. Okay. So I also don't have any, like I said, I don't have any problems with making the findings for the exemption. For the applicant to know that is an action, because conceptual there's no action taken. So there is no approval, okay, at a conceptual level. There's no vesting on either side, basically. And when we take the action to make the exemption, which will have to be done, we'll do that at the hearing where preliminary action is taken. Whether that's bundled with a final as well is something else. So, but when you do come back, the exhibits that didn't quite make it into the package, you need to be very sure that they're in here. You need to be very sure that while this is important to a planner, and it's moderately important to us, this maximum allowed height, the maximum building height, we got 35 feet here. That's not our primary concern. Our primary concern is from this, this access point, that drive-in access point to there, and from this grade to here. That's what we're looking at. And this one, the height of this structure, those are the kinds of things that you really want to make sure that the dimensions are on. And at a level like this 1 and this 12, I can read those. I can't read this, whatever that is. It's too far down. These are helpful. These two, the 10-foot and the 12-foot, I think that's what those are. Those are helpful, but we need the overall building height as apparent from the proposed finished grade, basically. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. And that applies to all the elevations. And I'm just going through a bunch of things here for Nicole, who's taking our notes. And then you've got your color board. You've got your notes that are calling out your materials. Yes, perfect. Those need to be on there, colors and materials. And then you're going to need an actual color, a physical color board. And it can be done just like this with the samples put on it. We prefer an actual sample or an actual paint chip where at all possible. And the color board, once you get your final approval, the color board is a physical board that you submit to the county, and it gets stamped and is returned to you and goes out on site during the construction period and is available for the person who is looking at compliance, so that they can go, yep, and they're going to hold that sample. This is why we like physical samples rather than pictures, because they're going to hold it up to the wall and go, yeah, that matches, or no, it doesn't. So that's something to think about when you prepare your color board. I've been telling people recently, it's sometimes a good idea to prepare two. You leave the second one, which also gets stamped with the planner. And then when you lose the one on site, you've got another one that's already stamped. Those are just things to think about. You do submit a color when you prepare that physical sample color board. This is fine. This is great. You can leave something like this in the drawings, but do take an additional picture of the color board and put it in. It's always a good thing to have it, because then we can touch base and make sure that we're seeing, the best representation as possible of the materials. Board, do we have anything else that any other comments? You need to make your lighting. You need to have your lights, fixtures noted, and we're looking for full cutoff, dark sky compliant. We like those kinds of fixtures, and we like to see a note about the Kelvin, the temperature of the lamp, whether it's incandescent or LED. We talked about including those other documents, and I think that's it. Did I miss anything, board? Nicole?
So is it the direction of the board to return for preliminary and final at the same time then, or with all that content that you just?
I'm comfortable with that. Board, is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yes.
That's a rounding sound of support there. So, so Ben, go ahead and it is Ben, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and we're more than comfortable seeing it return preliminary final.
Sounds good.
Full board, because we have to make the exemption.
Mm-hmm.
And then just make sure that the package has all those kinds of bits and pieces and everything hangs together, and we'll be happy. Okay.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nicole, did you get all that?
I think so.
Okay. Yay. I'm glad my crazy weird day is not impacting everybody else any more than it is. Okay, that was the last item. So Nicole, you want to share your screen and
Yes, 1 second.
and we can review those comments for the 4 items.
Host disabled participant
Yeah,
screen.
Jonathan's gotta let you in.
Yep, there you are. You should be able to now.
I always join twice, so
Oh, it might be the other one.
Sorry.
She only can share the screen from one of them, so.
So I can use my headphones.
Definitely. Okay. See if
Okay, that worked. Thank you. Right, let me go to the top. Okay, so tasting room.
Okay. You have result in twice. Board, I know we did say simplistic, but sometimes the connotation is not. Can we say simple? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yes.
Chair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to go back on that first one. I wonder if we should say something more like appreciate landscape plan, consider whether or not.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I'd say landscape design.
Yeah, design. Maybe so far or to date, or yeah, just so that they don't think that they're done.
Yeah, appreciate the landscape design. I think it's fine without the to date, but I'll bow to what everybody else says.
Or as presented.
I just
just leave it, but consider whether or not the proposed hedge.
I think that's the important part.
Yes. Okay, then you can take to date out.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe. I think we should, as far as the architecture, I think it was Lowell who first noted it. I think we should memorialize the fact that we did say that we really appreciated the fact that they had removed that door and 2 windows, and it's now just a window on the front.
To say revisions to fenestration on the front.
Yeah.
Front elevation.
Yeah.
Street elevation, whatever.
It would be, I think it's Alamo Pintado elevation.
Okay.
Is that right? No. Yes. I'm confused today.
That is right.
Okay.
But front elevation is sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay. Just leave that. All right. Anything else that we're missing in there? I mean, I made a comment about the Wello, but nobody else really did anything. But I think that captures most of it. Okay. Next one.
Actually, one thing, instead of keep an eye on, I would say be. That's just like what we kept an eye on it, but no, we want.
How about be cognizant of the amount of light trespass?
Minimalize. Reduce.
Well, it already says that.
I guess we didn't necessarily say it exactly that way, but
I said
concern. How about concern? Concern about the amount of light trespass through windows.
I don't think that's actually. I think that the general, yeah, that's what I was going for.
Okay.
Be cognizant of the amount, because I think that captures the whole feeling of the board.
Or could you say be sensitive?
There you go.
I think that's more.
Thank you.
What we were trying to say.
How about be sensitive and reduce wherever possible or something like
It
that?
it already says that.
already says
Okay,
that.
yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
Got it.
it says that.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now I'm perfectly comfortable with the second bullet point. And I was making a mountain out of a molehill. Does anybody else have any objection to that?
I would just change the word would. A built shade structure could.
Okay. Right. We're not making an implied warranty. Okay.
I had a comment about additional screening in the southwest corner.
Yeah, and nobody else really picked up on that. So I instead of provide, say consider. Because I don't think it was a directive. I think it was a, hey, this could be better.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
One other comment on just above there. I wonder if it would, I might feel a little more comfortable. It says a built shade structure could help transform the modular and help to tie into the barn storage structure. Help tie.
Is that acceptable?
And not into, not tie into, but tie to. Or relate to.
Help.
To me, it's more about the transformation of the modular than it is about making it look like the barn.
Right. Yes.
It's not about the barn so much. I just think it's more about transforming that structure into something a little different. Maybe the overall, relate the design to the overall property.
Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think multiple people were talking about tying the two architectural styles
Yes.
together in
Okay.
some way, not making them as the same, but making a more cohesive site. So I don't know, but
Okay, I'm good with this if everybody else is.
I'm comfortable. Anybody else?
I'm good
Okay.
with it.
Okay. Okay, that was preliminary final. We got that one. That one, actually, you should make a note about, I don't know if it's you or Jonathan who needs to note that the motion, I guess it's Jonathan, the motion included the 2700 Kelvin, but that's Jonathan, so.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
And did you want to put who made the motion and who
No,
seconded?
she doesn't do that. That's Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
That's why the minutes sometimes look like two people did it. It's because two people did it.
okay.
Okay, we will probably need to spell out for the final deal that the board supports the making of the finding of in the interest of good design. You might want to just make a note to yourself to put that language in there.
The exact language from the ordinance.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Instead of the rest of it, instead of trying to recapture it, we can just say we support making this finding. Okay. Return with it wasn't that that this implies that they didn't have a full set of plans. Return with how we want to say that, because really what I wanted them to do was to make sure that they included the information that didn't get included this time.
Well, how about say return with details, physical color board, blah, 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 etc. as discussed. And take out full set of plans. Just say return with details, provide physical color board, light fixture details and notations. Notations, take the and out, notations confirming dark sky compliance, etc. as discussed and required.
And then, well, hold on a second, Nicole. Instead of as discussed, can we say including additional information, additional hillside ridgeline information,
which they gave us today. Want it in the documents
verbally. I want the plan information in there.
Yes.
Bethany?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
All these things that we repeatedly talk about requiring for the different levels of submittal, when the plans are submitted to the planner, don't they check and make sure that they have everything required for the submittal? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I think they do to a certain degree, but I don't know if a planner would know to the degree of what the BAR would want. That being said, the application for BAR for each of these levels lays out everything that's required.
Right. I mean, I'm just trying to make this more streamlined, that it seems like if the planners don't know what we require, then we should try and figure out a way to help them get that information.
I guess what I'm saying is the application already tells every applicant what's required. The exact format that you all might prefer everything in, the planner won't be able to check. And I think Bethany gives this list as a courtesy to people, but the applicants should know, as professionals and as people who fill out the application that lists all the requirements, that these are the things they need to bring.
Would it be more, I mean, this is not exhaustive. This is, it's whatever's required. It's whatever's required.
And this is what they're going to bring. It doesn't have to even be in the minutes, to be honest. It's not like they were missing any of these things. It's just what they will standardly bring. And it's a reminder.
Yes, and Nicole is correct. I do it, Puck, more as a courtesy. And a little bit just to, sometimes it's missing a piece of information that a planner's not going to pick up on necessarily because they're not a design professional.
Yeah.
And so that's why, but Puck is absolutely right. We do repeat this over and over. And I don't know, Nicole, if you wanted to, type up some standard text.
Yeah, I can do that. We could have a standard, you could say, put in my standard blurb for final.
Yeah. So that might,
I think that'd be really helpful, just in terms of consistency too.
Yes.
Because I know that's something that people are very sensitive about, is that we want to be as consistent as possible. So anyway, that's I'm sorry I took you into the weeds. I did not mean to do that.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a good thing to kind of talk about every now and then, just to make sure all of us are talking about the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Could I make a suggestion here to say, I mean, as we're doing this out of courtesy, as a reminder for specifics on this particular, why don't we take dark sky compliance, comma, hillside ridgeline information, comma, etc., as required.
In this case, I don't believe that's I mean, for a standard blurb, yes. But in
I'm just saying for these minutes, I'm talking about these minutes right now, because when you say etc. and then say including blah, 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 I think that that's confusing. I think you're giving a list. So I'm suggesting that you just include after compliance, say,
okay,
and additional hillside or hillside ridgeline information, comma, etc., as required.
I don't want to do that because
okay, that's fine.
In this particular case, there is a specific, if it was just a general, you need hillside ridgeline, yeah, I'd say that. But in this case, because there were two documents, or there were a series of documents, graphic documents that didn't make the submittal for public review, I feel that it should be noted outside of that generic list.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I understand your wordsmithing and I'm aware of it. Okay, well, that does it for me. Is everybody else good?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I was Lowell first.
Thank you. Thank you.
You all.
Any further discussion? All right, bye.
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 Safe. Run.